Here, this is Mark from SixFiveTurboGarage.com. I just wanted to make a quick video on block heaters for these 6.5 diesels. There's not a lot of variety out there, but there is a variety in quality. So here's an example of one that I pulled out. It's a 600 watt, and it had worked fine, but it was I pulled it out of a previous motor, so it was a used one, which is probably not a good idea, but it looked fine. So I thought I'd give it a try, and it ended up leaking eventually. So just for you people who have never dealt with any of these block heaters before, it's a pretty basic device here. Just a simple heating element that sits in the water jacket in the engine. And the way you put them in is you slide them up into the freeze plug hole, and then when you tighten down on this screw here, you can see where the butterfly shaped screw back there presses down and then spreads out these wings, and it pushes and sandwiches between the wings themselves and the fingers here on this style. And on this style here, it's the whole outer diameter. And which leads me to the first thing I wanted to point out, how the thin brass, it's just pressed and stamped that this is made out of, as opposed to this whole cast unit is very, very solid brass. So the quality overall on this particular one is much better. It's made in Canada. I think it's assembled in the US with Canadian components. But you can see this is 1,000 watt, so it's got a much larger heating element than the 600 watt. And I'm going to put it in the starter, underneath the starter location. To be honest with you, I can't remember the reasoning behind that. I think that I was afraid that it would interfere with the motor mount, this going on the passenger side. But anyway, I'll show you here in a second how it goes into the block. Okay, so here's what we're looking at here. Actually, I am remembering why. I knew there was a reason why. It's focused in here. So if you can see, the forward freeze plug is actually blocked by the starter bracket, and there's no reason whatsoever not to run that starter bracket. Matter of fact, it's a must-have. You'll end up breaking your block eventually, and that's a very difficult repair to do for the starter bolts. So the alternative, try to get this so that I can show you how it goes in and hold on to my camera at the same time here. So you can see how I have my bracket pushed up out of the way right now, so when it swung down straight to hold in the starter, it would cover this one up. The starter does go over this, and it's a very, very tight fit, but when I had it installed, I'm a little bit concerned about the thickness of this one, but when I had it installed before, it did push up against the plug, the starter did, but it did fit. So, and so all you do is just slide the heater up in. It can go, the heater points straight up, or turn it around and have it point straight down. Either way, I'm not sure which way that I'll have it, but anyway, then you push it all the way in. Oh, by the way, give a little more detail here. You'll want to get in there and really clean up the edges. Get a wire brush in there, make it as smooth as you can. Just think about making a good seal with the rubber O-ring. And then you want to put a coating of grease around the edge, and you'll want to grease the O-ring of the block heater as well. And that's just to facilitate getting the heater up into the hole and have the O-ring be able to seat and not get pinched up or rolled off or interfered with. Again, just focusing on trying to make a good solid seal. And then once you get it put up in there, I won't do it right now, but once you get it up in there and placed the way you want it, then, and just pay attention to the plug as far as the orientation and how it's going to fit in there with the starter and all. And then you just tighten down on your screw there. to the factory recommendations, it should come with some directions on the block heater itself, so just refer to that. They're likely to be slightly different. So, and once you get it tightened down, you can see where it will have pressed itself all the way into the block and sealed it up nice, and then you just put your starter back together. So, and this of course is for those of you who want to run dual heaters. I like to have as much help as I can, so I've got 2 block heaters in mine, 2,000 watt block heaters in the stock location on the driver's side, and then this is the secondary hole that I put it in. So anyway, just a little quick one and a heads up on the quality. And for those of you who have never seen how the block heater goes in, that's just a little precursor for you. Check out the 65 Turbo Garage and get details on many more articles. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.